78 out of 100. That number on a website erased over $1 billion in a single morning. Not a fraud scandal, not a CEO arrest, not a recall, a video game review score. And here's the fun part. The game sold 2 million copies the same day. Okay, let me introduce you to Pearl Abyss, South Korean studio, founded 2010. You know them from Black Desert Online, the MMO, famous for having the most beautiful character creator ever built and the most predatory monetization this side of a gacha app. They made $1 billion off of that game. Then, in 2019, they walked out on stage at G-Star and showed a trailer for something different, something called Crimson Desert. The crowd went insane. This was going to be a single-player open-world epic, their magnum opus. They built a brand new engine from scratch called Black Space because the world they were imagining couldn't run on anything that existed. They rewrote it. For 7 years, $133 million, 3 million Steam wishlists, and then in the last week before launch, the stock price hit an all-time high, up 125% over the previous year. Investors were treating this game like it was going to be half the Korean GDP. Then the reviews came out, and we're going to talk about that. But first, what is this game actually? You boot up Crimson Desert, and the first thing that happens is you forget what decade you're in. This game is preposterous looking. We're talking fully dynamic ray trace lighting, native 4K with ray tracing on, no upscaling required, and a world so detailed that GameSpot wrote an entire article about the horse's legs getting selectively wet when you ride through a stream. Only the parts of the horse that actually touch the water stay wet independently. That's the technological marvel they spent 7 years building. Horse, wetness, simulation. I'm kidding, it's actually stunning. The continent of Pywel, this is where you live now. Looks like if someone took Red Dead Redemption 2 and gave it a budget double the size and a Korean fever dream for the art direction. It mixes medieval fantasy with steampunk with sci-fi, and you think, that sounds like a mess. And then you see a mechanical dragon, and you say nothing, and you keep walking. The performance on PC, at least, is genuinely remarkable. PC Gamer ran it on a mid-range RTX 3070 with hundreds of warriors and horses on screen at once and never had a frame rate issue. Digital Foundry noted the Black Space engine delivers lighting quality comparable to Unreal Engine 5, while actually being easier on your GPU. On PS5 though, different story. There is a Reddit thread titled PS5 graphics is really bad, with over 710 comments. Console players pour one out. But here's where it gets interesting, or depending on your personality type, here's where it gets infuriating. Mechanic 1, the combat. Okay, this part is legitimately great. You play as Cliff, mercenary, flannel model energy, perpetually exhausted, and the combat is a real-time action system built around combos, positioning, and a satisfying weight to every swing. PC Gamer called it killer combat, Game Rant gave it an 8, and even the harshest reviews begrudgingly admit, yes, hitting people with a sword feels fantastic, the boss fights in particular. There are 76 of them. 76. One reviewer spent 150 hours and only cleared 30. That's either a feature or a threat. Some of those bosses are exhilarating. Some require you to go hunt deer for an hour, cook 100 pieces of hearty grilled meat, and just outlast them through sheer caloric attrition. When the strategy is eat your way to victory, something has gone slightly wrong in the design meeting. The lock-on system though. IGN's reviewer, who had sunk 110 hours and still hadn't finished the game, specifically called out the lock-on as a recurring frustration. Insider Gaming described the combat as having highs very high, lows very low, and that's the vibe of the whole game, which we'll come back to. Mechanic 2, the open world. This is Crimson Desert's crown jewel. The continent of Pywel is reportedly double the size of Skyrim. Seamless, no loading screens, full of things that will murder you and things that will make you go. One reviewer encountered, and I'm reading this directly, a living diving suit, a walking tree, a castle full of baby dragons, and a network of celestial teleporters, all in the same afternoon. There's a mechanic where you reveal the map in each new region by ringing a bell tower. The game does not tell you that, it just expects you to know. You find out by wandering around confused with an incomplete map for an hour, or by looking it up, or by accepting that Crimson Desert will only tell you things when it feels like it, which again, vibe of the whole game. Games Radar said it best. Crimson Desert is messy, but as you untangle its mechanics, elements of genius and wonder make the experience worthwhile. That's either a glowing endorsement or a hostage negotiation, depending on your patience level. Mechanic 3, the Abyss system. Okay, so there's a parallel dimension. You can go there. It's where you get your special abilities. It's also where some of the most complex 3D puzzles in the game live. And complex here means the kind of puzzle that causes a game journalist at a preview event to stare at a wall for several minutes. The puzzles are rewarding if you're wired that way. They are a wall of confusion if you're not. No middle ground, no hand-holding. Pywel is not your therapist. Mechanic 4, the inventory, or the great unsolved crisis of 2026. There was no storage. They fixed this issue at day 1 patch, but in a game that gives you crafting materials and unique boss drop armor sets and bugs you've caught and flowers you've picked, there is, at launch, no way to put any of it anywhere. GameSpot's reviewer listed what goes in your inventory: extra weapons, armor, crafting materials, tools, quest items that stay after the quest is done, furniture, ingredients, cooked food, books, wanted posters, notes, recipes, skill unlock items, caught bugs, and picked flowers. All of it in a single inventory with no storage boxes. The game gives you a house with cabinets. You cannot open the cabinet. Pearl Abyss has said storage is coming eventually. 7 years of development. The cabinets are fake. So, the story: Cliff, our flannel mercenary, is trying to reclaim his lost homeland and restore balance to something called the Abyss. There are rival factions. There are mythical creatures. There is a lot of lore tucked away in menu blurbs instead of, the actual game. GameSpot noted that much of the narrative is left to short blurbs in the pause menu. Polygon did a review in progress titled "And This Is Real." After 10 hours, Crimson Desert's massive open world hasn't shown me a single interesting thing. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who played a few hours, described it as a game designed for people who just want to consume content. These are not warm takes. Multiple critics describe the characters as bland and the narrative as losing momentum the longer you play. There are some genuinely intriguing environmental storytelling moments out in the world, but the main story itself is mostly an excuse to get Cliff somewhere new so you can fight something. Eurogamer put it perfect. This game has the visual construction of a masterpiece, but it can't pull itself out of the bog standard narrative trenches. All right, let's be real about the problems because they're real. Problem 1, the controls. Every single review mentions this. The controls are complex, clunky, and cannot be remapped. PC Gamer said they took many hours to become comfortable with. The Gamer's reviewer called awkward. The Steam mixed rating is driven overwhelmingly by this complaint. This isn't a skill issue, it's a design philosophy inherited directly from Black Desert Online, a 12-year-old MMO whose target audience had already memorized 100 keybinds. You are not that audience, you were never consulted. Problem 2, the onboarding. This game will not help you. The horse taming, one of the core traversal mechanics, got their first attempt at hour 1. They received a proper tutorial 12 hours later. The bell tower mechanic, no tutorial. Map reveal systems, figure it out. The abyss puzzles, you'll know when you know. Crimson Desert was built by people who have spent 12 years maintaining an MMO that trained players to grind for information. That philosophy did not get patched out before shipping. Problem 3, the console version. Pearl Abyss only sent PC review codes before launch. When PS5 footage finally appeared publicly, players were not happy. Dozens of threads on the Crimson Desert subreddit, 710 comments on one post alone. The PC version is technically remarkable. The PS5 version is the PC version after being processed through a blender labeled storage constraints. Console players are getting updates, and PSSR support has been added via Sony's improved version, but at launch, base PS5 was not a flattering picture. Look, I don't want to punch down at Pearl Abyss. They clearly love this world. They built a new engine from scratch. They delayed this game, pivoted its entire structure from MMO to single player, rewrote their engine every year. The ambition here is real, but ambition without polish is a 7-year development cycle that still needs patches on day 1. And the saddest part, they know. Their day 1 launch statement thanked the community and literally promised to make improvements quickly, which is admirable, but also the cabinets are still locked. So let's go back to that number, 78. Stellar Blade scored 79. Lies of P scored 80. Black Myth Wukong, the game that broke Steam concurrency records for non-Valve games, scored 82. All Game of the Year conversation games. All in the same neighborhood as Crimson Desert. The problem was never the score. The problem was that investors had bet $1 billion on a 90. And gaming's culture of maximum score or it failed did the rest. And here's the bit I need you to hear, because it's genuinely incredible. When the reviews dropped, fans hadn't played the game. They harassed reviewers, they called journalists biased. They said the score was wrong. Then at 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on March 19th, Crimson Desert launched on Steam. And within 10 hours, those same fans had submitted almost 5,000 negative reviews, dropping the game to a mixed 66% rating. The Korean Steam reviews from the people whose country made the game landed at 33% positive. The top-rated Korean review said they wanted to hang the developers upside down until their stubbornness breaks and feed them nothing but buldak noodles mixed with vinegar. So, critics were wrong. Until players agreed with them, the internet ate itself in real time. It was beautiful. $1 billion gone because of a 78. 2 million copies sold anyway. The home country threatening vinegar-based punishment. And somewhere in there, a horse with selectively wet legs that represents the most ambitious technical achievement of this console generation. What a time to be alive. All right, I need to go lie down. Next week, we're covering something with a story, something with storage chests, something where the cabinets open. See you then.